can have your attention, I'd like to thank everyone for being here today as we honor the City Lifestyle 2022 Women of Chandler. My name is Lisa Scott with PayPal, and I'll be your MC for today's event. I'm also honored to be the chair for the 2022 Women in Leadership Planning Committee. The Women in Leadership's mission statement is to empower and propel women into business success through education, networking, and mentorship programs. And our monthly programming would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. Our education and mentoring sponsors are Toyota Financial Services, Intel, and Nova Home Loans in Chandler. Our showcase sponsor is PayPal. Our venue sponsor is the beautiful Soho 63. Our supporting sponsors are APS, J2 Media, Wells Fargo, and Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Also, huge thank you to La Madelines for providing lunch today for us. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank the Women in Leadership Committee for putting on this wonderful event every month. Please stand up as I recognize each of you. We have Gina Lovanway from Juncture Wealth Strategies. She's our co-chair. We have Madhu Chadha, who owns WSI Optimized Web Solutions. We have Ebony Fields of Ebby's Bookhouse LLC. We have Crystal King from Arbonne International. Andrea Marconi with Fennemore Craig and being recognized today. And Crystal Riemann with Intel Corporation. We encourage everyone to keep their phones out, take pictures, and feel free to post them, share them, tag the Women in Leadership Facebook page on the event. Who knows, your pictures might inspire others to join us next month. As a reminder, we put on this programming the third Tuesday of every month. So we would love for you to keep your eye out for future programming, attend with us, or encourage others that you think could find value in attending as well. And while you're on your phones, be sure to follow us on social media or to check out our website to keep up to date on future programming topics. At this time, I'd like to welcome our Chandler Chambers President and CEO, Terry Kimball, to introduce all of our amazing speakers.
I just want to do another shout out to this amazing Women in Leadership Committee. They are really invested in making sure that you have the great quality programs. So at the end, you're going to have a survey to fill out. Give them feedback because they want that. They love that. So again, big round of applause for the committee. So I have the honor of introducing the speakers for today and hearing a little bit about each of their stories. And I will tell you, I was part of the inaugural edition back 6 years ago. In fact, Joyce and I were just talking about that. And it is truly an honor. And you will have those relationships with the people that were also nominated with you during that year. Those are lifelong friends. And we want you to cultivate those relationships because it's about empowering and lifting one another up. And we have some amazing, when you hear some of these stories, I get goosebumps. Even though you read it in the magazine, to hear it in person, I still get goosebumps. So I can't wait for you to meet them. But at this time, I would like to bring up Joyce Self. And you can tell she's already giving me that look. Joyce is the publisher of the magazine. And Joyce, yes, you have to speak. I want you to talk a little bit. Again, this is a woman who is so humble and proud, but she's done amazing, amazing work with what she's done. Not only that, she is a former Micro Business of the Year for the Chandler Chamber. So
thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Every year it is really, really exciting when we do these issues. In May, we do the women, and June, the men, of course. But it's a real pleasure for me because a lot of times I know the people that we're recognizing. And what's even better are the ones that I don't know that I learn about. Our community is so full of just amazing men and women doing really good things. And it's always interesting to me because every year I'll have some who get nominated. We send them all the information they need to fill out for us. And they're like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm not corporate, or I'm not a political powerhouse, or, you know, kind of trying to tell me they're not good enough, which we know nobody would nominate them if they weren't good enough. So I have to encourage them. And then if they're selected, it's really, really exciting because they're just like beyond thrilled. So my message to you today is do what you can, no matter how small. You don't know who you're impacting. You don't know what changes you can formulate. Just, you know, every day do something little and it compounds itself, and you're going to hear some great stories today. We do have some political powerhouses, we have some corporate powerhouses, and we have some individual community member powerhouses, all doing good work. So thank you so much for recognizing.
thank you, Sarah, and thanks for the team. So, and I will tell you, there is a number of people. So the selection process is quite lengthy. And there is a large committee that reviews all of the applications that come in, and to be able to make those selections. How many did you have this year? Over 100 nominations that came in. So that selection committee, who remains anonymous, but they have a real job to do. So let's get started and see these amazing women. So as I call your name, I'm going to have you come up. I will have a microphone here for you. And as you're coming up, I'm going to read their bio, and then I'm going to ask them a question that they are going to get to answer. And so that you can get a little bit of an insight about them. And then we will, at the end, if you have questions, we'll open it up for the big group to be able to hear from each of them. So let me get the other microphone for them and we'll get started. Our first nominee is Lynn Harkey, who is a writer and speaker. After being diagnosed with breast cancer 13 years ago, Lynn Harkey learned the importance of discovering beauty, hope, and faith right where you live. A cancer survivor, Lynn celebrates by giving motivational messages to women's groups, churches, and the cancer community. She and her husband, Kevin, and you're Kevin today, not Mayor, have pastored a local church, Trinity Christian Fellowship, for over 30 years. And Lynn has spent endless hours volunteering by teaching children's classes, handing out food boxes, washing sheets for the homeless, and many, many other things. When not writing or speaking, you can find the First Lady of Chandler keeping up with her own 4 grown children and her 3 grandchildren. But the other thing that you don't know about Lynn is she is not only a published author and writer, but she also, I every morning get my information, my inspiration from guideposts. My husband and I read our devotionals every morning. And Lynn is actually been selected as one of the many writers across the country to be selected to write in guideposts that you didn't even know that was in here. So anyhow, so I just had to do that shout out to her because I think that's pretty amazing. So So Lynn, what is one of the most important lessons that you have learned as a writer?
I think one thing I learned as a cancer survivor that comes through in my writing and speaking is to grab onto life and celebrate it with both hands, with all that you have. And I also learned that from my parents at a young age. They were very involved in family and community and their faith, and that was passed down to me as well.
So Lynn, and you know, I've read your books. So one of the things that you shared in your book is when you first were diagnosed with your cancer, you really became, you were that stronghold of that family because you were caring for your parents. You had children that were graduating and in school and just everything being a mom. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think what was unusual in our family experience with cancer is I was diagnosed first. A year later, my dad was diagnosed, and a year later, my mom was diagnosed. And so we had all three family members going through cancer at the same time. And I remember wanting to call my husband with the news, and I thought, how am I going to tell him that I have the same disease that killed both of his parents? And I remember when he picked up the phone, I tried to find the words. And at that time, all I could do was sob. And I say, cancer tried to steal my words. But from that day on, I say, cancer, you will not steal my words. I will take back what you tried to steal from me.
So being an accomplished writer and speaker, what words of inspiration to everybody, not anyone in this room?
Well, I just wanted to say when Joyce said people, try to back out of the nomination, I was one of those people. I said, last year I was so sick recovering from COVID and I was canceling everything. And she said, a season of your life does not define you. And so thank you for that. And I want to encourage you with the same. A season in your life does not define you.
Let's give Lynn Harkey a big round of applause. So our next recipient is Jody Pectol. Is Jody here yet? I know she was running a little bit, but she's not here. So I'm still going to read her bio, and then I know that they had a couple of hiccups at the store, but I'll read her bio, and then when she gets here, we'll call her up later. So because I want you to learn about her. Whenever Jody, along with her husband Mark, open a new location of their popular restaurant, they fully embrace the community, and that is truly an understatement. I will tell you that. Whether it's fundraising for local schools, food donation drives for animal shelters, or helping a family with medical bills, they never turn down an opportunity to make a difference here. Just like their parents did while she was growing up, and that's where she learned those values. It is her mission to use the family business to help others. She has a passion is working with young people. And their pizza camps give local youth a glimpse at what really is involved in running a small business by teaching them the basics of running a restaurant. And I will tell you, especially during COVID, when we were starting to experience some of the supply chain issues, Jody and Mark reached out and they were selling flour to families from their shelves that they had just to be able to help. And anybody who's struggling in the community, they constantly do fundraisers, whether somebody's having a surgery or that. They're just that kind of people. And so if you haven't been to their location, it's right on Ocotillo and Arizona Avenue. Yes, thank you. On the southwest corner. So stop by there and see Zesty Zzeeks Pizza and Wings. So, and hopefully Jody will be able to make it. So our next recipient is Nicole Massey, and she is sergeant with the County Police Department, as well as the founder of BackFit Pet Rescue. She was raised by her Marine father, and Nicole was inspired to put others before herself, over people and animals in need. She has served in the Chandler Police Department for 15 years and is currently responsible. Yes, that deserves a round of applause. And this one deserves a round of applause because she's responsible for hiring and recruiting, which is very tough in today's day and age. So that deserves a round of applause. But more important, she really wants to ensure that the most qualified and dedicated people are hired to serve the citizens of Chandler. She is also an important community resource, running a nonprofit pet rescue that serves the abused and abandoned animals. The rescue helps residents who need vet care, food, and supplies in order to keep their pets. Strays are captured and cared for until their owners or new homes are found, which what a great inspirational heart there. So Nicole, tell us a little bit how you got involved with the pet rescue.
Well, I actually got involved. I was working in the streets of Chandler, and I got called to dogs that were rummaging through the garbage cans, and the neighbors were afraid because they were pit bulls. So I got there and brought them up, and then I noticed there was a mama dog that had just had puppies that was trying to come outside of the yard but didn't want to leave her puppies in the backyard. So I made contact, and the person that lived there said that her boyfriend moved out. She didn't want the dogs, so she just threw food through the door just to kind of keep her away from trying to come back into the house. So I asked her, hey, can I take them? You know, we can try to find a resource. She's like, yeah, but you're not going to come in my house. You have to go get them. She's vicious. So I said, okay. So I got some food and went in the backyard and got Lexi, who is now my dog. And told her, and I said, I'm not keeping you. I already had 2 dogs, and I knew I was going to keep her because I named her on the way home. So I put her in the back of my patrol car and away to my house that she went. We found homes for her puppies, and then that is what started the rescue, because the police department at that time didn't have resources. I didn't want to send her to the pound. I knew that she was terrified of people, of men. And I didn't want to put that towards her, so I brought her home, and that's what started the rescue.
Wow, I know. So I know that you've talked about finding Lexi, but I know that our first responders, every day that you are out there, there are lots of proud moments. Can you share a proud moment since over the past 15 years that you've had?
Well, it's kind of, I'll group it all together. When I rescued Lexi, the police department didn't have resources. We didn't have, when we do like an abuse case, we didn't have a place to take them, vet care, that type of thing. So that encouraged me to start the rescue, so I didn't have to send them to the pound. But then also I realized that the city of Chandler didn't have any resources with like the Humane Society to assist us with, testifying in court, medical treatment, housing animals. So I helped secure the contract with the Humane Society. And then from there, helped install 2 different kennels at the police department to house animals. So that way they're not just waiting in the back of a patrol car. And then from there, obviously the rescue exists. So all of that together, to me, is a proud moment, because we all work together of helping the community, helping the animals, helping the officers, and helping our police department. So these animals being inside the kennel doesn't take the officers off of the street, so they can house them, be safe, be in air conditioning, and our officers can go back on the road and serve our citizens.
I love that. You're going to meet a couple of other people that are also on this panel that share that same love for animals in a little bit. So, but I also want to thank you for your service, and I think you have a couple of other women colleagues here. Would you like to do a shout out to them?
Yes, that's Commander Melissa Dienda. And then my wife, Melissa. My wife, Michelle. I'm a CPS. Sorry.
Work life, it's gotta be, I'm sure. That's okay. I love that. See, we're all human, but I just want to thank all of you for being women in a predominantly male role and helping to change that face and be that voice for those animals who don't have a voice. So thank you so much. Our next recipient is Andrea Marconi. She is an attorney with Fennemore Craig. I will tell you, Andrea, and I'll read her bio, but Andrea is an award-winning lawyer, and that is in all kinds of senses of the word. She can share a little bit. But when not litigating, she is volunteering in the community. She serves on our Chandler Chamber Board of Directors, as well as the Arizona Humane Society. And she was here clapping for you.
I was clapping for you, Nicole.
She also is involved with No Cares and previously with the Phoenix Suns charity. And I don't think there's any other bigger Phoenix Suns fan in all of Arizona than this woman, I can tell you.
And I'm real sad.
Yeah,
I know a lot of you are.
we need some prayers. As well as numerous other groups. Philanthropy is like a second career for her and one that she absolutely loves. She mentors and helps train young lawyers and students as she recognizes a big part of their success is attributed to those who mentored her. She also provides pro bono legal services and free education on various legal topics to numerous groups throughout Chandler. So, Andrea, how do you balance your busy schedule? I think I'm busy. You got me beat, honey. But how do you, number one, balance that? As well as what advice do you have for women who are pursuing a career in law?
How do I balance it? Well, my lovely husband's here today, so he's probably gonna make faces as I say things when I'm not balancing very well, because you know, we can be Wonder Women, but we're not super women every day. And that's what I try to remind myself. So the one thing I always tell young lawyers or young women of any kind who are venturing, and I try to tell myself, is we all try to keep the balls in the air, right? Well, there's two kinds of balls. There's glass balls and there's plastic balls. And the glass balls are the really important things. So do what you can to keep those in the air. And whatever is really important is different for all of us, right? Like for me, it's my two boys making their events, you know, being there for them. That's a glass ball that stays in the air. But the plastic balls are the things that just don't matter that much. And if they fall, who cares? They're going to bounce. They're the things like my house might not be the cleanest someday. Or, you know, when my kids were young and there was a bake sale, I didn't have time to bake the cookies. I bought the cookies. It's a plastic ball. I'm like, you know, just let it go and let it bounce. And I, you know, the biggest thing that helps me every day is a community of support. I firmly believe in the It Takes a Village mantra. My parents are here today. They are my rocks. My husband is my rock. My boys are my rocks. And I'm so fortunate, like many of you in this room, to have a community of women, especially, that lift me up. So that's key.
Been a lawyer for quite some time.
For 20 years.
I didn't say that. I let you say
I didn't date myself.
it. Tell me your proudest moment, your proudest case.
Well, we just had a long jury trial last summer. It was a 3-week jury trial, just very long. We represented the state of Arizona in a case that had been going on since 2014. So in like, that's like dog years. I mean, that's like insane. And we won. And it was a case where I really felt like my client, who was the state, didn't do anything wrong. But there was a worry that they might get found liable just because there was a deep pocket there. But they didn't do anything wrong. And so we were able to show a fantastic jury of men and women that, and it was a real proud moment. And it was just a tough trial because it was still during COVID, and you know, we had all these protocols, and it was just really tough to get witnesses in and out of the courtroom, but we acted as a team and we powered through. And also one of my mentees, who's a young lawyer in our firm, who's just fantastic, she was able to get up and do some of her first arguments in front of the jury, and watching her shine really made me proud. So it was a good day. Yeah.
Proud mama moment. Let's give another a big round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Our next nominee is Helen Jacobs, and Helen is a volunteer at ICAN. I know. Shelby and I were, Shelby were on that inaugural cover too. Yes. So, but ICAN's a great organization, nonprofit here within our community. If you want to learn more about it, you can see Helen or see that table back there. But Helen was recently a retired teacher. So thank you for helping our youth. That's a very important profession. and she read that ICAN was looking for donations of school supplies, and she had plenty. Knowing nothing about the organization, she took her supplies over to the newly opened ICAN building, where she quickly recognized the great needs of the underserved youth here in our community. She has been volunteering there ever since. Her nominators write, teachers like Helen are often the unsung heroes of our community, but their commitment to shaping young lives for the better, even when they have already done so much, is truly something worth recognizing. And I wanted to read that because that was really powerful. So give a round of applause to Helen. So Helen, tell me a little bit about a powerful moment that you had at ICAN, because otherwise you would be going back every single day.
Well, sometimes I wonder why I go back every day. I've had a lot of kids when I first started, and even when new kids come in, you know, sometimes it's hard to make a good impression on them. And so a lot of them have been kind of cold and standoffish at the beginning. And then after spending time with them, they become very close to you and you build a relationship with them. So those really are my proudest moments, those kids that I can really, you know, get off to the side and they can tell me anything about their lives and hopefully I can help them a little bit. Yeah.
So you deal with a lot of other volunteers, and I also understand that you've helped recruit a lot of volunteers to come to ICAN.
I guess I have, yeah. Well, you know, after being there for 10 years or so, I kind of know the ropes. And so when a new volunteer comes in, I'm more than happy to kind of mentor them and make sure that, you know, they're on the right track and they're doing what they should.
So what would you tell a young youth in the ICAN program? What advice would you give to them going forward?
Well, I would tell them to be the best that you can be, and the sky is the limit. If you put your mind to it, you might be in a situation right now that is rather precarious, but if you keep going and you put enough effort into it, you can really make something of yourself and become a wonderful adult.
Well, I just want to, very, very well said. You're a lifelong teacher and don't ever that. We're so blessed to have you in our community. So thank you, Helen. Our next recipient is Kathleen Escobedo. She is an artist. So Kathleen, as a member and past chair of the Chandler Arts Commission, Kathleen has helped select artists for many public art projects. The commission has approved many of the iconic art pieces located in our city, including the wall murals and the beautiful shade covering over the entrance of the new Chandler Museum, which is absolutely stunning if you haven't been there. In fact, I think we're featuring the men of Chandler under that awning. So you didn't even know that. I got a sneak peek at the cover, so watch for next month. But recent electrical box coverings that you see all over with the art all throughout Chandler, so that it just doesn't look like a green or gray or sometimes dented boxes around the community. She is an artist herself and is selected with 4 others to form a group. It's called 5 on Tile, to contribute to the renovation of the street areas throughout downtown area by creating tile for benches, tables, art pedestals, and along the sidewalks. So I love that inspiration because I'm not very artistic at all, but I appreciate art. And so I just want to thank you for those talents in finding that. How did you become involved in art? What was your inspiration?
In the beginning, my parents realized that it was a bad idea for me to write on the walls anymore. So I actually started art classes when I was 9 years old.
Entrepreneur at the beginning.
Taken art classes all my life. Didn't get into ceramics till 2002. Friend said, I'm going to take a ceramics class. You want to do that? And I went, no. And so I've been taking art classes ever since. The visual arts director of Chandler was looking for, when they were doing all the renovations downtown, they decided to put in these benches, and they asked for artists to put in applications to see if they would like to be part of this. In total, for that area of downtown Chandler, we made 7,000 tiles.
Wow.
It took us, we started the project in January of, I can't remember what year, that year.
Yeah, that year.
And
I have some timers too.
we finished in November of that year. It took us pretty much most of the year to get it done, from inception to creation to installation.
Wow, amazing. What is your proudest piece that you've done?
Susan, Tom, and Ben.
Talk a little bit about that.
I have 3 children.
That was good. Okay, so what's your proudest art piece?
Probably that. I think everyone who creates something from inside themselves would love to see that live past them. I made sure my name was on every bench that I did. So my kids and my grandkids have pictures sitting on my benches or standing on my benches, and my name's on them, and they can say, my grandma did that.
I love that. I love that. A part of your creating history. How important is it to invest in our youth and our community?
It means everything. Chandler has a wonderful outlook on creating a wonderful environment for its citizens. The children we have now will be the citizens of the future. And one of the things I really like is the Vision Kids program. So it's free classes for children on Saturday mornings to teach them art. And if you start with an appreciation for art in your life, you expect to see it, you want to see it, and you may create it yourself or just appreciate that it's there. And it helps you become part of the greater whole that appreciates beauty.
I love that. Wow. And that is so important. And I will tell you, and I get to work with Kim Moyers, who's our director of cultural service or cultural arts here in Chandler, but it creates a sense of place. And when people come to our community, it's kind of like that icing on the cake. So
absolutely. One of the things I've loved is we've started doing murals around town, and you see them everywhere you go. That long wall by San Marcos, and in back of, what's the name of that restaurant that has besides Serrano's, which is Santan Brewery, the huge mural. You see these things, and I can't not believe that you look at that and just smile and go, wow, this place believes in it being a beautiful place.
So I love it. Don't you just love her? Well, thank you for all you do. Our next recipient is Megan Maghill. Megan is the Assistant Vice President with Alliance Insurance Services. Shortly after moving to Chandler, a friend introduced Megan to ICAN. And yes, you can give that a round of applause. Today, she serves as the board chair and is proud of their plans for expansion in order to reach more kids in need. A third-generation Arizona native, a graduate of ASU, Megan's career achievements have been widely recognized by her peers. Her nominator writes, "True success is not measured by wealth, but how you use your good fortune and talents in the service of others. No one works harder than Megan to serve the well-being of others in the Chandler community." And I just thought that was so well written. And so thank you, Megan, for that. So we talked a little bit about art and about volunteering and why those volunteers are so important. I want to hear from your perspective and a business perspective. How important is it to invest in our youth here in our community?
Well, they're our future. And as a mother of 2 young children as well, when I first attended the first Scale event, I think one of the first Dream Bigs, like 7 or 8 years ago, and hearing their stories and what they were getting out of ICAN and what ICAN was providing to them was heartbreaking. And I was so glad to see that we were lucky enough to have an organization like that in our community.
So now I'm going to flip it a little bit because now you're a leader on that board of directors. Talk a little bit about the expansion, because this is really exciting what's happening here in our community. And I don't think everybody in this room knows. So yeah, sorry, Shelby.
It's huge and it's so exciting because it's for those who don't know, it was Henry Salinas, our founder, Zesty's dream. Obviously not to start at our first location, but to continue to expand. And I think that although the pandemic was so challenging for those kids in that community, especially for all of us, but it forced everyone to slow down and kind of take a seat back and reevaluate, where we need to be. And Shelby, our CEO, is fantastic, and Cassie, and they really took great advantage of the situation. And now the fact that we can serve, and we're expanding into basic for those that don't know, 2 more schools by the end of the year, so we'll have 5 total locations. And they would probably have us in many more, but we want to do it the right way and make sure we have enough staff and the capacity to do it correctly too.
So, wow, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing those plans. I think it's really important as Chandler continues to be that leader in these types of programs. So thank you. I told you the stories behind these women are that they're more excited than just reading them in the book. So thank you. Our next recipient is Lyndsey Fry. Lyndsey Fry is the director of the Arizona Coyotes, and she's also been a speaker here about women's empowerment here with the previous Women in Leadership. But growing up in Chandler, Lyndsey was only one of a few girls playing ice hockey here in Arizona. Playing on boys' teams, she had to learn to have that thick skin very quickly and perseverance. True grit and the love of the game led her to many firsts. She was the first athlete from Arizona, male or female, to play for Team USA in ice hockey Olympics. The first athlete from Arizona to win an Olympic medal. Yes, that. She received silver in Sochi in 2014. She's the first female color analyst on the Coyotes broadcast team. So she's really switched from being that player to having to be all dressed up now. And she's also the co-founder of the Arizona Katinas Hockey Association, a competitive hockey program for girls in Arizona. And I just love that story about your nonprofit. So you have had so many proud moments. I want you to share with these women, because not all of them heard you the first time. What were some of those proud moments in your journey?
Well, I think the big thing for me, and you kind of went through it, was just being the first. It's really important to me to be able to inspire that next generation, and honestly is a big motivator for me. I love proving people wrong. I grew up playing with all boys over at the Chandler rink, learned all kinds of language at a young age, just kind of got used to it. So that's really what motivated me. And honestly, obviously, we all wanted to win gold in Sochi. That was the goal. But I think for me, just knowing what it meant to this state, knowing what it was going to allow me to do to help other girls have an opportunity, that was really the motivator for me at the Olympics. And so coming home with a medal was incredible, but being able to have the opportunity with the Arizona Coyotes to grow girls hockey here has been amazing. And just to give you guys a reference point, when I was born, there were less than 30 girls between the ages of 5 and 19 playing ice hockey in Arizona. It was very small. And now we have hundreds, and just in our Kachinas program alone, we have 250. So I'm very proud of that.
That's amazing. One of the things that when you were here in and I love that. But talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you had, because you really you faced a lot of challenges just trying to break those barriers.
Well, you talk about my mom. I would not have any of these things if not for my parents deciding when I was born that whatever their kids were into, they were going to dive into head first. Because you can imagine as a parent here in the desert that when your little girl asks to play ice hockey at 5 years old, it's not necessarily the thing you expect. But they were all in from the very beginning. They really helped me, I think, work through some of the interesting feedback I heard from the boys on other teams. But I think, you know, along the way, I was really fortunate throughout my youth because I had the support to not have a ton of adversity. It didn't actually come till college. I really struggled to adjust in college. And my best friend was killed in a car accident right kind of out of the gate my freshman year. And I actually wanted to quit hockey. She and I played together. I was struggling with school. I was struggling with hockey. This was before the Olympics, and I was ready to be done. And again, somebody earlier talked about that support system. I think one of the greatest things about being a college athlete or an athlete in general is you have 20 friends built in the second that you join that team, and they were able to help lift me up and get me through. And I'm very fortunate for that today.
Talk a little bit about your Soji experience.
Well, it was incredible. I mean, I think anytime you go to an Olympics and you see those Olympic rings for the first time, it's breathtaking because you know how much work has gone into that. It's unlike anything else I'll probably ever experience in my life. But for me, one of the coolest moments, again, comes back to my family. Just even before I got to the games, being able to tell them that I had been selected and was going, I always viewed that, still do, as kind of the greatest gift back to them for everything they had ever done for me. And seeing them in the stands going crazy. My brother was in like a full-blown American flag morph suit the whole time. The Russian girls loved it. It was great. And but no, it was amazing. And I think, you know, getting silver obviously was really hard. I don't know how many of you watched that, but we were winning 2-0 with 2 minutes left in the game. Yep. And so we ended up losing the game in overtime, and it was devastating, but it was one of those moments I look back on, and regardless of the color of the medal, I'm just so proud of what we accomplished. And I knew in that moment that what I wanted to do was help other little girls reach their dreams, and I get to do that every day.
So let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you so much. You know, we're going to come back anytime. Our next recipient is Anni. She is the founder of Jam Pack. In 1994, this substitute teacher at Galveston Elementary had taken her mandolin to the school and played bluegrass music in every classroom where she taught. I love that. After school, 2 little boys knocked on her door wanting to sing and play more music. The very next week, Jam Pack Blues and Grass Neighborhood Band was born. Over the past 20 years, literally hundreds of children have joined in, learning music, self-awareness, self-discipline through creativity and expression. Today, Jam Pack is more than an organization. It is a community created around a love of music. So, Anni, tell me why the mandolin? Why the mandolin? I mean, I'm sure you.
Why the mandolin?
How did you pick that one?
Wow. Back in 1964, I'm really old, by the way. So forgive the shaky. But back in 1964, 63,
364, I traveled to Southeast Asia all on my own, on freight boats and all of that. And I met a Peace Corps worker coming back to Tokyo, and he was playing a mandolin. I don't believe I'd ever seen one before. And then I had the occasion to go to the University of Tokyo and hear a mandolin orchestra. There were about 30 people just playing mandolin. And I knew I had to have one. And 1966, my parents went to Italy. It's a big story because I was pregnant. They wanted to get out of the country. That's the real story. So they brought me back a mandolin. And of course, I had a new baby and it got put away for many years. And when I was 50, my husband, Vincent Beach, some of you might have had him at Chandler Gilbert. Anyway, he said if I would get out my mandolin and learn, he would learn the cello. So that's the big story.
But you're really good. Is he good
On what?
on the cello? He was amazing. All right.
He was amazing.
He was
This is
amazing.
our this is our first granddaughter, by the way. Keisha Beach, a powerhouse in Chandler.
And we've also had Keisha here as a keynote before. She's got a great story. So tell me about, because your passion and just going classroom to classroom, I love that tenacity. But how does music really positively impact our youth?
Oh my goodness. Not everybody wants to do music, but the ones who do and gather together, whether it's school music or, you know, in their own little bands, you know, in the garage, it brings people together like really almost nothing else can, because you have to get along, you have to cooperate, you have to practice, you have to have fun. Most of all, I stress you have to have fun doing it. But what it does for children, and like in my band, I mean, they're lifelong friends. We've been it's 28 years we've been going since 94. And a lot of them are still here with me.
I love that. I love it. What's your favorite song?
My favorite song, $2 Bill. Maybe y'all heard that.
Sing it. Sing it.
Lost all my money, but a $2 bill. Come on, Keisha. $2 bill. Boys, $2 bill. Lost all my money, but a $2 bill. I'm on my long journey home. Have I ever substituted for from 94 on in Chandler schools? I went everywhere. I had another educational background, but I didn't have to work anymore. I could have fun. And so I just dragged it everywhere and taught that song, Chandler High School, Hamilton High School, to the babies I took care of. Anyway. That's it.
I love it. Thank you so much, Annie. And I don't think there's anywhere that you go that you don't have fun. So, all right, our next recipient is Dr. Andrea Strickland. She is the owner of Animal Medical Care Center of Chandler. I told you we got this animal theme going. I know you love that. Dr. Andrea's interest in animals began early in life. Originally in medical school for humans, she made that shift when she recognized the love of people included the human-animal bond in a big way. After her past work at the Indian reservations along New Mexico and Arizona for the remote area medicine program to help spay and neuter and vaccinate reservation animals, Dr. Strickland was invited by Michigan State University, and the first part of the band, to teach veterinary school students remote area medicine and surgery on the reservations. Her current practice employs over 30 employees and recently expanded by adding a feline medical center. So congratulations on being that small business owner too. So talk a little bit about your inspiration on the animals. I mean, switching from being a doctor to animals,
Well,
a doctor of animals.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, and just so you guys know, that there's a very big, it always happens, but it's Strickland, so we're just gonna help you.
Oh,
with
I'm
that.
sorry,
So-
sorry.
But everybody says Strickland, so if you call me Strickland, I'm gonna be here, so don't you.
Sorry.
But I always say Dr. Strickland's dogs like sticks, and so then that usually makes it better, right? But my love, I've always loved medicine of any kind. I wanted to cut things open. If it's bloody, is it gross? That's the best thing ever. And when I grew up, my mother basically supported like every animal, not really hoping, so I don't want to go that direction, but
Chandler PD doesn't need to be called.
and so we ended up taking horses in, like kind of like a supplement income and 10 horses, and then being in the desert up in outside like Golden Valley, Arizona, which is like the armpit outside of Kingman, Arizona. There's nothing to do out there except for a lot of drugs and have babies. But so you have animals instead. And within that process, being a very cranky teenager, right, 13 to 17, the last thing you want to do is chores. So we had like the 26 dogs, 24 cats, 2 birds, 10 horses, and my mom worked 3 jobs. So it was me taking care of all of these animals. So I loved taking care of them, doing all that stuff, helped deliver a horse. But I was like, I will never touch an animal again. Like I'm going off to college and I'm never going to do this again because this is too much work. But once I had to get a job and I was actually nursing and then went into pre-med and loved medicine, was wanting to be an OBGYN and deliver a bunch of babies and tap bladders. But when I needed to get a job, I know, I would still love to do that, so I'll go back. But when I needed to get a job, and a long time ago, there was a newspaper that you used to look at for ads to find a job, and you circle it. And there was a posting for a veterinary assistant. And so I was like, I can clean up after animals, so that's what I'm gonna do. So getting into that, but then also volunteering on the human side, it was just such an amazing experience to see just that connection between people. Like I actually got to know them and their family and their pet. And there was just more depth. Whereas going into the medicine side, it was like, okay, you got 10 minutes. You're going to look at a girl part, right? You're going to move on. Do you feel safe at home? Okay, bye. And there was just never that real great connection. And that's what I really wanted. So I applied to med school, I applied to vet school, and right at the last minute, I just went vet school. And so that's kind of where it is. And I actually mentor quite a few veterinary students, and I tell them there's a big shift in how veterinary medicine is working. You have to love people to go into this job. If you just like, I love puppies and kitties, it's not for you. Because if you don't know how to talk to somebody and educate them and connect with them, you're going to get burnt out and you're going to be miserable. So you have to really love people, which I do. So that's kind of how that evolved. So.
And I love that story because you're right, because so many people, their pets, they're like their babies. And when you have to make those tough decisions, your expertise in helping them navigate that and showing that care and compassion is really important.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm never bored. So it's great.
So along with that, so now that you're a doctor, you've got this love for people, love for animals, and then how difficult was it to start your own business?
There was a lot of antacids and perhaps some Xanax that involved. You don't recommend. You can't think straight at all. But trying to look at the overhead, it's very different as far as when you're looking on the human side, because on the animal side, you have to buy all of your lab equipment. You have to buy your X-ray machines and your ultrasounds. And so when you're looking at just equipment itself, it's easily, I mean, now it's probably about $600,000 just to buy the equipment to run a practice. So going and trying to get that loan or trying to tell somebody like, yeah, we're going to rock this was definitely very exciting, but it was, I mean, it's paid off. And then we did get to open up our feline only side, which has been phenomenal. So.
Well, thank you for all the work that you do. And she's a comedian too. I love that. All right, our next recipient is Dr. Yasmin Rahimi. And she is okay. She just Molly got a text back there. She's not able to join us, but I'm going to read her bio because she's also pretty amazing. Her passion for sports and psychology led her to receive a doctorate of chiropractic degree In 2002, she started her own practice here in Chandler, originally offering only chiropractic services and psychotherapy services. A couple of years later, her brother joined and they expanded into not one, not two, not three, but 4 locations. So I love that entrepreneur spirit. Today, they actually have 10 locations throughout the valley, specializing in chiropractic, medicine, physical therapy, and pain management specialties, including 2 interventional treatment centers. She has also served on the East Valley Advisory Board of the Phoenix Children's Hospital and co-founded BackFit Cares Foundation, a nonprofit that raises money for East Valley children in need. So I love that nonprofit and that philanthropy giving heart. So let's give her a round of applause. Our next recipient is Julie Reid. Julie Reid is a financial advisor with Edward Jones. And Julie's heart, she actually started off in the nonprofit world for 15 plus years in the nonprofit sector. She knows how important it is for an organization to have good volunteers, and she has made it her mission to be one. Serving as the board chair for the Chandler Gilbert YMCA and serving on ICAN's Dream Big Committee, her focus is about putting kids first. As a financial planner, she seems to be everywhere: networking events, leads groups, community events. So your impact, you've always had that attraction to be volunteering with youth. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So when I worked in the nonprofit industry, I worked for Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and it was heartbreaking seeing those kids go through what they went through every day, and the families and the struggles. But what I had learned is a lot of those kids were so fortunate because they had that family unit and they had their extended family there to help them. And when I left the nonprofit industry, and I really was fortunate enough to now decide, where do I want to donate my time for me, what's important to me. And I knew it was with children, but I really wanted to work with organizations that helped children in more need, to help kids with coping skills, with all those things that we're not seeing children get because they're so attached to devices these days, which led me to learn more about the YMCA. And really what drew me to the Y was I loved playing sports growing up. I loved playing basketball, volleyball, swimming, everything. And I knew how important that was for me and my development to have sports and to be able to learn how to work with other kids, to learn how to lose gracefully, to learn how to be active, balance academics with sports. I learned so much through that experience. And so with the Y, they give so many opportunities for kids to learn all those skills. And that's really what drew me to the YMCA.
Well, and I want to talk a little bit about that because I know you've been involved with ICAN, we heard about that, but Garrett and his team and what you are doing over there. Can you talk, because there's some exciting programs that are happening there?
Yeah, so you might think of the Y as a workout facility, which it is. And you might think of them, oh, my kid plays swim team, it has swim team at the Y, or my kid plays basketball at the Y. But the Y does so much more. In fact, during COVID, what was so amazing about the Y is all they did was daycare all day long. They completely had to strip down their staff because of COVID, and every staff that was in that building was working in daycare. And they took care of kids for people that were at the hospital, for our first responders, anything they could, because that's what was needed at the time. And the Y came up and came to the call. The governor said, we need you to provide daycare for kids. And that's what they did. One of the great programs we do every year is called Safety Around Water Week, which was actually just last week, where they give free swim lessons to kids. And they work with the city of Chandler. They work with schools to get these kids free swim lessons to help prevent drownings, but also adult swim lessons, because not all adults know how to swim. So you could take free swim lessons at the Y last week. A new program, which is exciting too, is esports, thanks to Devin Booker and a grant from him and the Sons and Devin Booker's foundation, that esports came to the Y. And one of the great things about that is, so your kids want to play video games and you're never going to be able to tear them away all the time. But now they can go to the Y and play with other kids and get interaction and play with other YMCAs throughout the country. And it's all monitored. So you know what they're texting back and forth during the game. And it's, you know that they're also learning coping skills and learning how to lose gracefully. So it's a great program that they have there at the Y.
I just love it. You see how she just lights up with that. Every single one of these recipients, when they talk about what they love, their passion just lights up. You need to do that program for some of the adults too. So let's give her a big round of applause. Our next recipient is Kate Ford. Kate had a high school teacher who was passionate about making a difference for students who did not have a supportive environment at home. She got involved with the local community and organized a group of mentors and advocates to help guide them. As a student who benefited from her efforts, she resolved she would pay it forward this mission as soon as she was able. She is a former Chandler Chamber of Commerce board member, which we are very proud for her initiative and things that she's helped to position the chamber in, as well as on the Dignity Health East Valley Power of the Purse. She continually promotes the power of women's philanthropy in the community. So Kate, congratulations. So Kate, how do you motivate others around you? Because here in the United States, you weren't born here in the United States, and it's very different. So how do you motivate yourself and others?
I can't believe you well, I don't have a Texan accent, so let's start there. Can you motivate others? You know, for me, it really is seeking to understand their perspective, their point of view, where they're coming from. Because I think when people feel heard and people feel that you're on their side and actively listening, they start to open up and really kind of share some of their experience with you. And if you can grab onto that and help build on those experiences with others, it automatically feels motivating. You feel supported. It's incredible.
One of the things, and Kate was, when she was served on our board, was very involved with our diversity, equity, inclusion efforts. Can you talk about some of the impacts that through your giving back that you have made on either former colleagues or other individuals? What's your profound moment?
Gosh,
you have lots of them, I know, so pick one.
You know, I think that the impact that strikes me the most is when you see others succeed. And whether it's they overcome a barrier or they start believing in themselves, or you've had a coaching session with them and they've had an aha moment that is, hey, I can own this, I can do something different. And, you know, I see the same in diversity and inclusion, and very passionate about it from many different perspectives, because I think diversity, hey, we're all born in diversity. Inclusion is about, you know, how you get that seat at the table, how you start using the voice. And then the next step is really feeling that voice is being heard, really feeling that you have an impact. And everybody that I work with and seeing that aha moment, that, oh my gosh, I can have an impact, I can make a difference. The thing that I did has, you know, opened a door. And you know, for me, I always say, hey, I've got a terrible network, and yet people seek me out and go, hey, do you know somebody that does this? And it's like, yeah, I do. Let me put you in contact with them. And for me, networking isn't about what is in it for you. It's how can you introduce others to your network? And you know, I guess that's how I make an impact.
Isn't she amazing? I'll tell you. And she lives and breathes that every day. So we so appreciate you. So thank you so much. Our next recipient is Erika Castro. She's the Senior Community Engagement Strategist with Salt River Project. Erika's parents immigrated from Mexico following their American dream for a better life for their 4 children. As a first-generation college student, Erika has come full circle. She has received much-needed services from several community nonprofits that she now works alongside and supports through her role at SRP. She champions education, public and civic service, as well as arts and cultural events in the community. She is a member of the Chandler Cultural Foundation Board and also serves on the City of Chandler in the Chandler Chamber of Commerce, Kyrene School District, Arizona Educational Foundation Teacher of the Year, and the CPLC Esperanza Latino Teacher Awards. That's just a few of the things she does. So she's amazing. So, and she's also one that she can't say no. And I will tell you, she inspires the future leaders, whether it's at SRP or in these other organizations. So thank you for that. So tell me, Erika, because when somebody gets to know you, you have this infectious personality. And what drives you to be so involved in our community?
Well, what really drives me is, I think, just taking it back to really how I grew up, right? And when I think of my upbringing and, you know, I was involved in what was called the migrant program, because my parents were farm workers in the West Valley. And through that program, I got to participate, and, you know, they took me to college programs, they took me to Space Camp in Alabama. So I got to be a part of all of these programs that really inspired me. And that's where I knew that there was so much more outside of my small community, and I wanted to be a part of that. So, you know, that's really where I think my love for the community started. And I think being a mother of 3 just continues to inspire me every day, because I know that the life that I wished I could have had when I was a kid, I want them to have.
Well, and I will tell you, and she exuberates this in her role at SRP. In fact, it was funny when I first met her, a colleague had reached out and said, hey, I have this woman, Erika, she'd like to get involved with the chamber. Okay, so she came to a couple of events, and she's like, and she just kept signing up for more things and more things, whether it was public policy and having to deal with that, which is sometimes not very exciting, to education. She's been a true leader in every single role she holds. So thank you so much for that, Erika.
I want to give a shout out to everybody that's here for me today. So thank you to my SRP team, my Chandler Center for the Arts team, my friends, but more importantly, I couldn't do this without the support of my husband.
Our next recipient is Erika Lassiter. She's the president of the Kwamie Lassiter Foundation. Erika was raised by a family of givers and serving the community alongside her mother growing up. Erika continues the legacy by instilling the importance of giving back. Do you see this common thread through all these fabulous women? And she does that with giving back to her 5 boys. 5 boys in the community. She co-founded the Lassiter Tackle Foundation, now the Kwamie Lassiter Foundation, along with her late husband, NFL Arizona Cardinal Kwamie Lassiter. As a board member, yes, give that a round of applause. She embraces their mission to unite and empower initiatives that enhance the quality of life for families in our community. Together, they have raised over $1 million for local charity. So, Erika, you have been an inspiration in so many ways. Talk a little bit about how you went from Tackle and how you started that.
Yeah, so Tackle Foundation is teaching all children to kick off leadership and education. And the way that got started is when my husband started his career here in Arizona, I wanted to give back because I was one of the students. He was always on an athletic scholarship, but not me. I had to go to the library at the time and make copies of my books. So I wanted to make sure that we help kids who had no way to pay for their college books and we started with a book scholarship at our school, at our church. And then it went on to give back to schools and helping with Title I programs and making sure that we can help kids who are underserved and providing those things so they can not worry about if I'm going to have school supplies or book bags, but that I can worry about my education and get better in society. So.
Well, and I will tell you, raising 5 boys, and I don't have 5 boys, but our goal as mothers, we want to raise them to be great parents or whatever they're going to be. How do you shape those young men? You had to be the iron fist in that family.
Yes, I was. Being the only female in the house, and being raised by great parents too. But I always wanted my boys to be great men in society, and they are awesome. I will have to tell you guys all that. They're really good boys, and they had to give back on the weekends. We were at their sports games, but after that, they were at a Delta event because I'm a Delta, and we made sure that we were able out there given to them, given to the community. They're great in school. I just got a text that one of my sons just got a 4.0 in his junior year. And they're just really, anybody who knows them, they have, say you've done a really good job with your kids. And that is my proudest moment, is watching all of them succeed in life, so I'm really excited about their future and everything that they have.
Amazing, isn't she? If you could give this room a bit of advice, what would it be?
I think you guys are all amazing and doing a great job at what you do, but just pour into what you're passionate about. And I'm passionate about people, and I'm pouring into people. So I give back to my community. I give back to my kids. Our foundation is actually supports sickle cell anemia families. And that is a blood disorder that is inherited mostly through African-American families. So we give back to families so that we are able to just kind of help them in those times of needs when they need to focus on their health and not so much finances or resources. So just pour into what you're passionate about. And I'm really passionate about that in my family. Like I've heard many of you say your families are your rocks, and they are my rock. They've got me through the loss of my husband and my brother, my mom, and I'm still standing. So I'm going to continue to do it.
Wow. You continue to do that in your family. Amazing, amazing. Our final recipient, these were in the order that they were in the book. So I just want you to know that. But we have Cassie Laws. She is a firefighter and paramedic at the Chandler Fire Department. And following in her father's footsteps, Cassie joined the Chandler Fire Department because she loves helping someone on their worst day, whether it's a person or an animal. See this animal theme, all you lovers here? She mentors the youth in the Chandler Fire Department cadet program who hope to one day become future firefighters for themselves. Her positive energy and attitude, coupled with her love for her profession, makes her a role model for all. And she was recently awarded the Chandler Fire Department Emergency Technician of the Year. She describes herself as a passionate person who gives her all to everything she does. So, Cassie, what made you? I know that it was your father, but really what drove that passion?
Well, first of all, please forgive me. Normally, I feel that I'm pretty good speaking in front of people, but today I'm feeling a little lost for words. I have a lot of tough acts to follow. So very high caliber of women that I've been surrounded here with today, and I'm very humbled and honored to be here and be a part of that and be named with you guys. So thank you. And as far as getting into the fire service, it really mostly was my dad, to be honest with you, because it's kind of funny, the story. Before this, for 5 years, I did exercise and wellness. That's what I got my degree in from ASU. So I went into that field. I was working with professional athletes for a little bit, and then started working actually at the Intel location on Ocotillo and Dobson. So I worked there for a while, working with their corporate wellness program. And I loved working with people. I loved, improving health and wellness, trying to make these people happier, healthier. But unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of room for growth in the company without getting into management. And I watched coaches go to management and start losing their hair and coming in with bags under their eyes, and just like I could tell that they now were sitting behind the desk and on the phone making phone calls all the time and dealing with a lot of stressful stuff. And what got us into the job and the passion initially, working with people, was no longer there, right? So I was like, I don't want to do that, but I want the opportunity to grow. So I started thinking about other jobs and what else was around me or what I might be interested in. And I was kind of like, I feel like this has kind of been staring me in my face my whole life. Like, I've grown up with a father who comes home and says he loves his job every day, that he has the best job in the world. So I started talking to him and I was like, hey, Dad, I think I want to be a firefighter. And he was like, no, you don't. And I was like, okay, kind of burst my bubble, right? You know, my dad's opinion means a lot to me. So I was like, maybe that's not it. So I started kind of forgetting about it, thinking about other things. And I came back to him and I was like, I'm going to be a firefighter. Not I want to be one, I'm going to be a firefighter with your support or without. And he's like, okay, well, my dad's kind of tough. He's kind of tough. And he's like, okay, well, you need to be an EMT. So I think he kind of dangled that carrot out there in front of me. Well, you need to be an EMT. So that's where you're going to start. And I was like, okay, I think you want to see kind of my initiative, if I would do that or not. So I showed up back to his house. I was like, okay, I'm enrolled. Class starts this day. He was like, okay, let me know if you need any help. Once I became an EMT, he was bought it. He was like, okay, so she chased this on her own. She showed me the initiative. Clearly, she's serious about it, and she keeps telling me she wants to do this, so I'll support her. So he started taking me out to the training center, putting on turnouts for the first time, pulling hose, getting used to the physical side of things, so that when I got into my first academy, hopefully it wasn't brand new to me. And so that's kind of my entry into the fire service, and he's done nothing but mentor and help me and kind of form me into the firefighter that I've become today. On that note, though, my mother is the one here with me today, and I think that you know, this being a celebration of women specifically, all people, but this is Women of Chandler. Even though my dad has helped form me into the firefighter that I am significantly, my mom is a huge reason that I'm the woman that I am today. She is a single mom. Her and my dad got divorced when I was 3 years old, and she has been doing all the roles ever since. So seeing a strong, independent woman like that has really created, I would like to think, hopefully strength and independence in me and a lot of resilience. So Mom, thank you for that.
And she was worried about following all of you.
I still am.
Wow. So talk a little bit about your proudest moment throughout your career.
I had a feeling you were going to ask me that because I heard the other people going to ask that. I don't know that I have a specific one. I'm blessed in my job to have a lot of opportunity to make a difference because people call us on their worst day. So it puts me in a position to help. So that, you know, I don't really have to go far out of my way to help people. I just go to work. I really do get a lot of enjoyment out of, you know, when we walk into a house and there's family screaming, panicked, yelling, grabbing on our arms, asking us to help, and you get into the room where they're calling you to, and there's someone unresponsive and pulseless and apneic, we go to work. We do what we do. And when you get in the back of the ambulance, we call it ROSC, it's return of spontaneous circulation. When you see a heartbeat of 0 on the monitor, or you don't feel a pulse, and after a couple rounds of CPR and the drugs we administer and what we do, you feel a pulse at the pulse check, and you know that you got that heart beating again, that's pretty cool. It's really cool. So I think for me, just the times that I walked in on a patient like that and saw them that way and knew that they were probably going to be okay because we obtained ROSC and route to the hospital, but they're a lot of times still not responsive, awake, alert, talking to us at that point. So you drop them off at the hospital. And then a couple weeks later, we've had many show up to the not to the hospital, to the fire station. And it's like the last time I saw you, you were laying on the floor. You didn't even know I was there, unresponsive, without a heartbeat, without breathing. And now you just walked up to the fire station to smile and laugh with me and shake my hand. And to know that I was just a small part of, you know, giving that person another day with their family, hopefully a lot of more days with their family, is very impactful.
Wow. Wow. Now, your father may have been the inspiration for the fire department but your mother taught you those lifelong skills that you can't put a price tag on. So thank you for your passion and your leadership. So let's give her a big round of applause. I just want to thank all of the women of Chandler. I told you you would have goosebumps today with these stories and getting to know them, because you can read it in the book, but you really have to hear their inspirational stories. So at this time, I want to have Jana LaVanway come on back up here. And she is going to, we've got a few door prizes to give away. And then don't forget your cards on the table, your surveys. Please fill those out so that we can help bring these fantastic programs to you. Jana, let's give away some prizes.
Thank you, Terry. I hope everyone here continues to join us for our Tuesday lunch programs and help us achieve all the goals that we've set. On the table, don't forget, you're going to see these comment cards. We would really, really appreciate it if you filled those out. We like to see all feedback, both good and bad, suggestions for topics we might want to have speakers, food, locations, whatever you think we would want to hear, we want to hear it. Next month, June 21st, is our next program, and we will be highlighting the Chandler Lifestyles Men of Chandler. So thank you again to our sponsors, especially Soho 63 and La Madeline for the food. Okay, so now we have some raffle prizes to give away. And so listen for your name and good luck. The first one is Big Air Trampoline Park, 2 free hours. Ericka Lassiter. Our second one is Look Dine-In Cinemas, 2 movie passes. At Orlando, City of Chandler. Oh, not here. Okay, drawing another one. Okay. Look Dine-In Cinemas, 2 movie passes. Claire Felix, Salt River Project. Okay. Hey, hold on to your chairs. Cindy Surf, Salt River Project. And now we have another 2 movie passes from Look Dine-In Cinemas. Shelby Peterson, ICAN. Texas Roadhouse, 2 free appetizers. Deanna Perez, Salt River Project. Wow, that's representing today. Okay, Barrow's Pizza, a $25 gift card. And this is Renee Richardson, Signorama. Now we have a gift bag and makeup set from Crystal King with Arbonne. And that is Yvonne Ruiz, GMRA. Lisa O'Hearn, Cabby Stylist, a $50 gift certificate. Crystal Markowski from PayPal.
No.
Okay, try it again. Okay, Carla Cantrell, ICAN. Now from Pam Parkinson, the oil lady. Elizabeth Armenta, SRP. And last but not least, Gina LeBenz, Epicure $20 gift certificate to Dr. Yasmin. Try one more. Rashonda Odwell, Embry Health. That's it. Feel free to hang around, talk to your neighbors, and hope to see you next time.